Hello, I'm Dara and welcome to my beef farm. It's a couple of weeks since I did a bit of work on my brother-in-law's shed. So the concrete men have been and gone and they've their job done, so it's now my turn to come back and do the next part of the shed. So I'm here now ready to go and get the gable end sheeting done, and then that'll lead on then to getting the roof done and all the other bits and pieces that need to be done on the shed. So hopefully by the end of this video I'll be able to give you a tour of the fully finished shed, and hopefully it'll be all ready then for the winter time.
So here's the shed that I made and stood in a couple of previous videos. As you can see, the concrete walls have been poured on the gable ends and on the back, and all the concrete has been done along the front as well. There's a fine new yard of concrete gone in there. It looks very well now that it's whitening off. There's a small little channel put there just to catch any water that comes down along, not to have it go down along the passageway, and it's diverted along by the gable end of the house to a manhole. Here's a close up the gable end wall, and the timber is up as well, ready for the sheeting. My brother-in-law has been very busy and he has done all the spaced timbers on the back of the shed, and he's done a smashing job on it. I really think a bit of timber work like that really sets off a shed aesthetically and makes it look well, but it also has the function of allowing good airflow over the tops of the cattle. There's just a pipe then to take water from the gutters, and the back of the shed is all concreted and there's pillars standing as well. I'll explain a little bit more about the passageway at the back of the shed at a later stage. I'm just getting set up to put the sheeting on this gable end, so what I do is bolt two cleats to the wall and put a straight timber up on top of it, and that will hold the sheeting and keep it straight for me as I move across the wall. I then screw this cleato rail from timber to timber, and that acts as a fixing point then for the sheeting at the top of the shed. So I'm in my safety basket that I made in a previous video, and that is in the tractor there to lift me up and down. The sheets for the roof and the gable end are 1.1 metre wide. It takes 5 sheets to cover the gable end, and that's putting a really good overlap on each sheet. So I'm able to leave the sheets in place because they're sitting on the timber that I put up that I showed you earlier, and I just hold it in place then with a vice grip. So now I'm using a spirit level just to mark where the screws need to go, so I'm not guessing and I'm not putting needless holes in the sheet. I give the signal to Daddy then to let me down, and we'll screw in the screws at the bottom first. Then I just make sure that the sheeting is sitting nicely in place and that it's sitting properly on the overlaps before I put the next screw in. Again, using the spirit level just to mark where the screws are going in the sheet, and just to make sure that I hit the timber every time with the screw. The truck I have welded into the basket is proving a great job, as all my tools are up at a height and are not bending down to pick up and off the floor, saving my back when you're doing jobs like this, and everything is at my fingertips. Just going to screw in all the screws on the bottom of the sheet there now. Again, the signal to the boss man to lift me up, and we'll screw this sheet in to the cleaner rail at the top. The screws I'm using on top are stitcher screws, so there's a fair bit of a bang off the gun to get those into place. I'm just putting a stitcher screw in on the overlap of the sheet there, just in line with the screw on the previous sheet. That's that sheet done now, so we'll move on to the next one and we'll go through the exact same process again. As you can see, the sheets are stepped, so they get shorter as we go to the back of the shed. Once I've all the sheets in place, I'll come back then with the angle grinder and follow the line of the cleaner rail and cut all the sheets off at the top there.
Now, so that's one gable end done. On this side, show you the one at the other side. So that gable is done as well. So what I have to do now is, if you see the cleaner rail, I have to extend that then up to the very top, put a piece and join it onto that one. And we also have to do now is put up the gutters on the back of the shed. So when the gutters are up and the cleaner rail is done, we can start roofing it, putting the sheets on the roof. Another bit done. Gutter is on now at the back of the shed. So always good to get that up. So we just started roofing it now as well. I'll show you inside there. So we just started roofing it. We've two full length sheets on, and next is a short sheet, and then we have some skylights to go up. So there's a skylight in every span then to let in light in over the cattle into the shed. So that's it. We'll get going and get the rest of the roof and hopefully get it done today. It's a few days later again now, and we're back at the shed, and we have the shed fully finished. Roof is completely on, everything is in. So I think I'll turn the camera around now and give you a tour of the shed and talk you through it. So here is the finished shed over the slatted tank. It's fully finished now, ready for weanlings to go in, ready for them to be housed for the winter time. I showed you the gable end, so I'll just show you the job we did on the flashing there, where the timbers meet the gable end sheet, and there we flashed it off there. And we also did the gable end with a fairly deep flashing. And kind of the reason we put such a deep flashing on is we wanted to cover off the roof trusses, and we put the same flashing also at the front there that covers off the timbers and comes down and covers the roof trusses. And I actually think it came out quite well. I showed you footage there of us doing the roof, and I didn't get to show you any more footage of us finishing the roof because it was all hands on deck that day. It was a good calm day and we had help here and we just wanted to get it done. So we got it done, and we got up there and got that flashed off as well. I'll just put in a little bit of footage there now of the roof there and the flashing on the front of the roof. So we go out now and we look at the other gable end there. Probably the footage I would have showed you there myself in the basket, turn the camera around. So this is the opposite gable end, and the exact same thing is done there. It's flashed up the whole way along the gable end. We have the gutter downpipe coming down here now. Just have to get a longer downpipe for that now to bring it all the way down to the floor, and the water will go directly into that manhole and off to the water course. So that'll be all clean water going away there. Back of the shed, as I said, looking well there with the spaced timbers. Oh, go back inside the shed there now. As you can see, there's a space left between the existing shed roof and the new shed roof. And you can also see that we joined on the new roof onto the old roof. Now the reason we done that is because, as I was saying in another video, because there was a very long overhang. As you can see, there's 3 timbers on it, so there's just over 12 feet of an overhang coming out. And say from that pillar back to that pillar is about 14 feet. So I thought it was a huge overhang not to have some sort of support system up there. And you're up quite high up here and you could get a fall of snow. So just wanted to make sure that that roof is going to be protected at all costs. So the space is left there to allow airflow to come into the shed. And that's also why we have the space timbers at the back, is to allow airflow to come in and hopefully go out over the cattle and out and, you know, cause a nice breeze over the cattle, but not a draft. The walls in the shed there, they're 6 foot walls, and there'll never be an animal over 6 foot tall that he'll feel the breeze on his back, so they'll be quite sheltered in there. We actually didn't realise until we put on the roof what kind of a breeze was coming in over the back here. When you stood here, and normally you'd actually be blown out, but you couldn't stand here for longer than 2 minutes. But since we put on the roof, this has become an unbelievably snug shed. And my brother-in-law has seen it in the cattle there. They're lying down an awful lot more since. Now, he had that windbreak there because the shed is open at both sides, but they never looked to be cold in it. But it's only when you have the roof on there now that you realise that there was a heck of a breeze coming down off the hill behind us. So that shed is after making a great compliment to this shed in front of us, in that it has completely sheltered it off there. So the fixtures and fittings in the shed there, we went for the diagonal barriers. So he had this barrier here, he had this one in stock, he had it in another spot, so we took that down and reused that there. And these were 2 new barriers that he bought. So they're all those extendable barriers there that you kind of extend the sleeves in them there, and they're kind of a one-size-fits-all feed barrier. I just drilled holes in and bolted on the brackets there, top and bottom. So those brackets are on both sides, so those feed barriers can open either direction if the need arises to do so. We just put in 2 timbers underneath, so the between the timbers and the thickness of the feed rail, you're looking at about 15 inches there that the weanlings will be feeding out over. We didn't go with a 3rd timber to bring it up to 18 inches because there's weanlings going in there. We felt that that should probably be high enough for them. Now the railings are bolted on the outside, and I don't think it looks too bad. I thought maybe when we were talking about putting them up there that it wouldn't look great, but because the wall was brought out to the very end of the pillar, these feed barriers weren't going to fit. Now, I would have thought initially I was going to bolt them all on the inside of the RSJ, as in bolt them on in here. But because that was done with the walls, I would like to have the wall have stopped there. But I suppose that was lost in translation there with the concrete man. But anyway, nevertheless, it's, to me, it looks fine, and they came out quite well. So it's a 12'6" slash, tractor slash, and there's a small bit of a concrete plinth at your front there, about a foot. So it's about a 13-foot pen, roughly 46 or 47 feet long. We have true water trucks in the pen there. Again, the galvanized trucks pipe going up to the top and coming along the timbers. I also have another water truck put here in the corner, and the water pipe actually comes into the shed, comes in on the ground and comes up through the wall. So I have it going up there on a tap, and then we have the joiners on it to bring it back down into the water truck. So I have the lids put back on the water truck there, they're up there, just making sure that there's no leaks before we put everything back together. So with two water trucks in, I suppose if one of them gets dirty, there'll be another one clean. But the idea then is if he wants to divide up the shed there, maybe put a small pen here or a big pen below, or whatever he wants to do, at least then the water is not a problem. So it'll be only a matter of hanging the gate in here and dividing up your wainlands in whatever way you want to do it. I suppose you're always trying to cover all the angles there when you do a new shed, but it's like anything. It's only when you start using a shed that you realise the few little changes you need to make to it here and there. But we hope we have it fairly well thought out of that. So we come up here on a Monday, and myself and Dad, we did off the gable ends there Monday evening. My brother-in-law had all the timbers done on the back of the shed, the space sheeting. Tuesday I came up and I put up the gutters, and we started to sheet it. But we got a very bad shower rain on it, so we had to leave it and go away from it. So we came up Wednesday then, and we did the flashing on the gable end here, and we had the help, and we sheeted the whole roof on it that day. So that was grand. With it fully screwed down, fully sheeted. Thursday then I came up and I finished all the flashing on the front of the shed and on the other gable end of the shed, and I think I did the downpipe. Friday then everything went wrong with me on the farm at home, and I didn't get up here at all until late, so I got one feed barrier hung that day. So I came up here on Saturday, and I had my brother-in-law's nephews were here, and we tore into the shed there, and we got the barriers up, and we got the water trucks up, and got them all plumbed. So that rate then was left ready then on Saturday. So it took us, we'll say, 5 bits a days to get the shed ready there from once the concrete man moved off. Since we finished the sheeting on the shed now, the concrete man has also come back there, and there's a lovely yard of concrete now put down there in front of the shed, so he'll be driving on nice clean yards, driving into the shed there to feed the cattle. And also the agitating point is outside there, so when lads are coming in to spread slurry, you'll have a lovely clean area to work on. So I have to finish plumbing up a tap outside there. Just the fixers I had weren't great, and the tap wouldn't tighten for me. So I'm going to get new fixers for that. So it's always handy to have a water tap there that you can wash your willies or fill a bucket of water, whatever you want to do. So this passageway then at the back, as you can see, there's pillars standing there. So what we're going to do is we have railings there on the ground, and I'm going to put 3 railings on each pillar, as you can see down along there. So the idea being then is that this is going to be the loading area then for loading cattle, or when they're ready to go to the factory or when they're ready to go back to grass. That space between the pillar there and the shed is probably about 8 feet. It's kind of the width of a lot of lorries. And you can bring the cattle down from above, run them straight down, nice and narrow there that won't be able to turn on you, and straight up into the shed. So that's the idea. That so I have that job to do now. I have U-bolts, and I'm going to U-bolt up all those railings to those pillars there. Those old round have to come off that now. So that's more or less the last job to do. It's like any of these things you have when it comes to finishing the shed there, there's always little snag lists. So we'll get around and make sure we have the thing 100% finished before I walk away and close the gate behind me. So that's it. Now, that's all. The shed is finished. I don't think there's anything more I can show you there. If you have any questions or any comments, then you can put them down below there. So I think I'll leave the video at that. I'd like to thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.